Well, hi everyone. Did you like that intro? I made that song myself. That is the full song that I entitled We Want It Dark. Made it myself. Isn't that fun? I make music. We. I noticed the other day that there were people commenting in the live stream. Like, I didn't have anything set up where I could see the live stream at the time. I didn't have anything set up. Okay, I'm just making sure. I can do this today. I do have that set up now. Anyway, so this today's articles we're gonna go over, and I got the key prompts, baby. Let me just 5, 3, and 2. Cool. Okay. Wait. What? Okay, yeah. Let's see. Did that work? Yep, there we go. There we go. Awesome. Fantastic. How about sound? How about sound? There we go. There we go. Yep, sound good. All right, yep. I set it up all correct. Yay! Okay, here we go. So, I already got the links to all these articles I'm going to go over in the description. They're already there. So, today's articles. NBC's news. Lisa Cook's bank documents appear to contradict Trump administration's mortgage fraud allegations. Now, I could read these myself, or I could use the cute little auto read thing. I like doing the auto read because I'm more of an auditory learner, but I can read it for you if you want. Federal Reserve Governor Lisa Cook declared in financial forms that her Atlanta property would be used as a quote-unquote vacation home and not her primary residence, according to documents obtained by NBC News that appear to undercut the Trump administration's allegations of mortgage fraud. Federal Housing Finance Agency Director Bill Pulte, I guess that's how you say it. I don't know how to say his last name. That's a weird last name. And I don't know. Everybody's last name is fucking weird if you think about it. And President Donald Trump, who has moved to fire Cook, have accused the central bank board member of passing off property as her main residence for financial gain. Cook has repeatedly denied the allegation, and administration officials have not provided definitive evidence supporting their claims. A loan summary from the bank fund staff, Federal Credit Union, in May of 2021 reads, quote, property use, vacation home. Additionally, public records in Fulton County, Georgia, reviewed by NBC News, show that no tax exemptions available for primary residents were sought by Cook. This is not a story I have kept up with much. It's just this particular one. Where are we at? We're at the second document obtained. This particular one caught my attention, but there have been other articles about this particular thing, and it's not a story I've been keeping up with, so I know very little about this. What I'm know about this is what I'm learning right now as I'm reading it, because like I said, there have been multiple articles published within like this past 2 to 3 weeks about this, and I just haven't been paying attention. A second document obtained by NBC News, Cook's questionnaire for national security positions, which was submitted to the Biden administration in late 2021, and later the Senate, contains a question that reads, please list all of your interests in real property, including additional homes, vacation homes, rental properties, and interests in trusts that may hold property. Cook responded by writing second home, followed by the address of the Atlanta property. The White House did not respond to a request for comment Friday evening on the documents, which were first reported by Reuters. A representative for FHFA directed NBC News to a post on social media by Pulte, which reads, if Dr. Cook solicited estimates as a vacation home and then entered into a mortgage agreement as a primary residence, that is extremely concerning, and in my opinion, evidences further intent to defraud. Cook's legal team declined to comment. In a criminal referral to Attorney General Pam Bondi last month, Pulte wrote that it appears an individual, Miss Lisa Donnell Cook, has falsified bank documents and property records to acquire more favorable loan terms, potentially committing mortgage fraud under the criminal statute. This has included falsifying residence statuses for an Ann Arbor, Michigan-based residence and an Atlanta, Georgia-based property. Trump then announced on Truth Social that he was removing Cook from her role at the central bank, the first time a president has attempted to fire a top Fed official. On Tuesday, a federal judge temporarily blocked Cook's termination. The Trump administration appealed 2 days later and is seeking a ruling before the Fed's interest rate setting committee begins its next meeting on Tuesday. Cook has a permanent vote on that committee. This sounds like I should have been keeping up with it. This sounds very complicated and convoluted. This sounds like, from my understanding, and like I said, what I'm learning about this situation is what I'm reading right now. And now I'm wishing I would have read the articles that came out previously, because it sounds like this is like a culmination of different things. First of all, this seems like sort of retribution, revenge of Trump being prosecuted for falsifying his properties for basically trying to make money by falsifying the square footage and property, and overvaluating the actual market value on his property. And it sounds like he's trying to do the same thing to someone else as a form of retribution and revenge. It also sounds like this is tied into Trump wanting to have some kind of say over the Federal Reserve Bank, because what was it they were talking about? This is the first time a president has attempted to fire a top Fed official. The Federal Reserve Bank, the interesting thing about that, so to my understanding is Trump wanted to do something with the Federal Reserve Bank. I don't remember what it was that he wanted to do. I know there's actually multiple things that they want to do. They want to increase the debt ceiling, which that has to do with the Federal Reserve Bank because that's where the government borrows money from. And he wanted to change something about how currency works. I don't remember everything about it, but the thing is, the Federal Reserve Bank, there's actually nothing federal about it. It's kind of like Federal Express. There's nothing federal about Federal Express. It's a private bank. And it is the bank that the government gets loaned money from. And every time the government gets money loaned from the Federal Reserve Bank, that money is loaned at interest rate. So if the Federal Reserve Bank loans the federal government, $6 billion, that $6 billion has to be paid back plus interest. This is something typically conservatives in the past have not liked to do, because talking about fiscal conservatism and fiscal responsibility, you don't want to typically take out a loan, and if you do, you want to pay it off as fast as possible, because the longer it takes you to pay off, the more interest accrues, and you have to pay the bank more money. And in the case of the federal government, this means going into national debt. It means having a deficit, which can impact the economy in a negative way and interfere with our ability to do international trades and do things on the international stage. It also can devalue the dollar. And this might have something to do with that, too. There was something that Trump did. I don't remember what it was. It's just not coming to mind, but there was something that Trump did that if he did it, it would devalue the American dollar. Right now, the American dollar is depreciating in value, and there are already countries that look at the American dollar like it's basically napkin paper. You could call it toilet paper, you could call it napkin paper. It's basically, there are already countries where if you sent a briefcase just full of American cash, they would look at it and be like, "Whoa, great, you just sent me a bunch of garbage." That's how bad our dollar is depreciating in value. It's not good. And it has to do with Trump, and part of it is his meddling and trying to, he wanted to fire the top executive of the Federal Reserve Bank, but the thing is Federal Reserve Bank is not the government's jurisdiction. It's a private bank. It's like U.S. Bank, Bank of America. It is a private bank. If there's something to be said for, wanting, not having banking, like decentralized banking, like, like what was that? Thomas Jefferson believed that centralized banking was bad. He didn't want centralized banking unit, and he felt that debt was a form of slavery. But that's not the direction this country went in. And I don't want to get involved in that conversation, because that conversation ultimately does eventually lead to the Trail of Tears, and no, let's not go there. If you want to know about like a leftist perspective of Thomas Jefferson, really, and some people got really mad about this on the left, but personally, I think she did a good job. Abigail Thorne from Philosophy Tube, she did a 2-part series. Part of the reason why people got upset is in the first part, she didn't condemn the right people that people like these people on the left wanted her to. And the thing, I like those are the types of leftists that are really, really fucking annoying, because it's like, there's a lot more nuance in the world than just having all of your pet issues being addressed. Like, not everyone thinks like you, not everyone has the same position as you, not everyone wants to comb through with a magnifying glass and look for every little microaggression and blah blah blah. Like you have to understand context and intent. Don't stop pretending like you're stupid and you don't understand what's being said. It's kind of one of those things. You know what's being meant. Abigail Thorne doesn't support those things that they were claiming. It's so nitpicky. It's really nitpicky. But then, when Abigail Thorne on Philosophy Tube released the second half of her video about Thomas Jefferson, she addressed point blank and pretty pointedly the criticisms. It was almost like she was speaking directly to them, like, I heard you, I heard what you said, and just very direct was like, no, that's not my position, go out and touch grass, and fuck you. And, I like Abigail Thorne. I do. I like her. I like Philosophy Tube. I think it's a cool channel. Okay. But, so I'm wondering if this has to do with that. Is Trump trying to meddle with the Federal Reserve Bank? And he's doing that by means of retribution and revenge of people trying to go after him for doing mortgage fraud stuff. And trying to look for sort of a back door into how he can meddle in the Federal Reserve Bank, which I don't think he will. I mean, it's a private company. They can do what they want. Although Trump will... if I were to make a prediction, and I'm not very good at making predictions, but if I were to make a prediction, my prediction would be that if he doesn't eventually get his way in meddling with the Federal Reserve Bank, eventually he will try to sue them. And I don't know if he's going to be very successful with that, because right now the American government owes the Federal Reserve Bank quite a large amount of money. We are mired in national debt. Like, what is our national debt at? It's trillions of dollars. National debt. Our national debt is higher than it has ever been. Like, it is skyrocketed. Like, you thought that the national debt under Biden was bad. No, under Trump, it's like, whoa, holy shit. It's bad. It's bad. He didn't just break the record on national debt. He like quadrupled it. Like, bad bad, bad. And that's the thing, is like, that's the type of stuff that I think that we should be focused on politically, is like, our system is collapsing, and it's very scary. This is something that is not just going to affect leftists. It's not just going to affect Democrats. It's going to affect literally everybody who lives here. Everybody. It doesn't matter where you are on the political compass. It does not fucking matter. It doesn't matter if you're a neocon. It doesn't matter if you're a neoliberal. It doesn't matter if you're a Democrat. It doesn't matter if you're a socialist. It doesn't matter if you're an anarchist. It doesn't matter if you're communist. It doesn't matter if you're trans, if you're gay, if you're non-binary, if you're a woman, if you're a man, if you're Christian, if you're Mennonite, if you're whatever, even if you're far right into theocracies, monarchies, and oligarchies, and eugenics, and fascism, and stuff, if you are an American fucking citizen, you should be very, very concerned right now. Inflation, national debt, depreciation of the value of the dollar. I mean, it's getting bad. We are possibly not looking at a recession. We are possibly looking at a depression. In my personal opinion, I think we've already hit like basically a depression. The reason why it looks different, because, you know, people will look back at, like, you know, the Great Depression from when my grandparents were young. Yeah, my grandparents were alive for the Great Depression. They've talked to me about it a little bit. Yeah, it's not going to look like that, because that happened, what was that, 1920s, 1930s. I think this is what a Great Depression looks like in the modern age of technological advancements. Of like, yeah, we have our smartphones, we have our technology, but one of the reasons why everyone is staying inside, glued to social media, like I'm glued to social media because this is my only way of socializing, because I'm disabled, I don't get out much. Getting out is very, very, very difficult. Like, you know, I started doing this. I go through these articles every day, so I was like, I should just live stream them, you know, just live stream them every day, because I go through them every morning anyway. But you know, like, I struggle every day, you know, like it takes me 4 to 6 hours to make coffee, brush my teeth, and take a shower, and check emails and do this. Like, pretty much by the time I'm done doing most people's morning routine that usually takes them maybe an hour to 2 hours to do, it takes me like 6 hours. Social media is sort of my window to socialization, because I'm pretty much isolated to my home, being disabled. So, but everyone else, I think they're stuck on social media, and they don't go outside, and they don't talk to each other, and they don't interact with each other, which is exceedingly unhealthy for our psyche, for our mental health, is because this is what a depression looks like in the modern age. That they're doing it because they don't have enough money to do anything. So, you know, they can't go to restaurants. They can't go to the movies. You know, the people forget there are things you could do for free. You could go to the park and hang out with your friends, but people talk about gas and getting an Uber or a Lyft. Taxi services are different now, and the cuts to funding of public transportation. How am I going to get there? And people aren't doing anything except sitting at home, doom scrolling on social media, because nobody can afford shit. You know, keeping a roof over your head is 70% of your income. The cost of food is skyrocketing, and resources are thinning, and yeah, so I think that's just what people do. They sit at home on their phone, glued to the internet, because they can't afford to really do anything. And and we have symptoms in our society of a Great Depression. You know, we have like this massive political polarity and divisiveness. That's part of it. People have lost faith in the system, in the government, in society, and they're resorting to more extreme political ideologies and such like that. That's very, very common when an economic turmoil and when a government system isn't functioning the way people are used to and expected to function. It's all very common. And you know, the other thing that happens during with a massive depression, when pretty much everybody's living in poverty, is crime rates go up. You know, like people are gonna do what they have to do to survive. Like I'm never shocked by crime rates going up when faced with mass poverty, because it's like people need to eat, they need water, and it doesn't matter that that's illegal to do, to steal those things. Any biological life will do everything it takes to survive by any means necessary. My rabbit, you know, rabbits, lagomorphs, they are staunch, just pure herbivores. All they eat is basically grass, hay. They eat hay. They're a grazing animal like cows and deers, or horses. That's all she does is just sit there and nibble on hay all day. Which her pellets, her little pebbles pellet food is made out of the Timothy hay as well. Sometimes it's got a little bit of alfalfa in it, which is not good for them, because the alfalfa, while they can eat it, it's really high on fat, so it's not good for them. The Timothy hay is the best. That should be like 98% of her diet. If I just stopped feeding her, even though the rabbits are pure herbivores, they do not eat meat. But if I starved her, did not give her water, did not give her food for a long duration of time, it would not be shocking if she chewed her own foot off to get some kind of nourishment in her body, even though she doesn't eat meat. Every biological organism will do everything it needs to do to survive. And when you put a human being in a position of resource scarcity like that, like food is not a want, it's a need. Water is not a want, it's a need. And when you're in so much poverty and you're using a capitalist system towards things like that, yeah, stealing's illegal. But when you're so hungry because you haven't eaten in like 3 weeks, to the point where your stomach feels like it's eating itself, I don't think you care about laws anymore. You're gonna do what you need to do to survive. Whether you can afford it or not, you need fucking food. It is like a drive, and believe me, like one of the things that was wild is after my surgery, you know, like I had to fast and stuff before the surgery. I couldn't eat anything and stuff like for 24 hours before the surgery. By the time I came out of surgery, my mouth was so fucking dry. I was also in incredible amounts of pain. Like, I was all curled up, like, nurse was talking to me and I was just not responsive. She like thought I was in so much pain that I was not responsive. So she went out and she got a pain pump and hooked me up to a dilaudid drip. But I begged her. I was like, water. And she said, oh, you can't have water. You just came out of surgery. I was like, my mouth is so dry. Please, whatever you got to do, just put it on my lips. Something. I need water. When she came in with the dilaudid drip, she also came in with like a little cup of ice that had like a little sponge on a stick. And as she was hooking my arm up to the dilaudid drip, I'm like reaching around her and stuff, like, give me the fucking water, give it to me. And then I grabbed it, and like I didn't even care that I was being hooked up to a very powerful opiate. I didn't even give a shit. I grabbed that cup and I was like, oh my god, water, holy fuck. I mean, like, that is like primal instinct shit. Trust me, it's primal instinct shit. So it doesn't shock me that there's more crime as poverty goes up, as your dollar doesn't go as far, as people struggle to keep a house over their head, keep food on the table, get medical attention. That doesn't surprise me. Every biological organism on the whole fucking planet will, by any means necessary, do what it's got to do to fucking survive. It doesn't care. No, primitively speaking, your brain doesn't give a fuck about a capitalist system when you are on the verge of death from hunger. Like, truly does not care. Food, now! Okay, anyway, on with the article. Trump then announced on a Truth Social that he was removing Cook from her role at the central bank. The first time a president... Oh, did I... Yeah, I read that already. On Tuesday, the federal judge temporarily blocked... Oh, okay, we're done with the article. Cool. On with the next one. Do you want me to read it, or do you want the voice to read it? The little digital voice. I like the digital voice. How about this? I do both, and then you tell me in the comments section which you prefer.
Millions face skyrocketing health insurance costs unless Congress extends subsidies. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, DN.Y, joined at left by House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries, DN.Y, speaks to reporters after meeting about Republican efforts to cut health care spending at the Capitol in Washington, Thursday, September 11, 2025. AP photo/J. Scott Applewhite. Washington, AP, there's bipartisan support in Congress for extending tax credits that have made health insurance more affordable for millions of people since the COVID-19 pandemic. But the credits are in danger of expiring as Republicans and Democrats clash over how to do it. Democrats are threatening to vote to shut down the government at the end of the month if Republicans don't extend the subsidies, which were first put in place in 2021 and extended a year later when they controlled Congress and the White House. The tax credits, which are slated to expire at the end of the year, go to low and middle-income people who purchase health insurance through the Affordable Care Act. Some Republicans who have opposed the health care law since it was enacted under President Barack Obama are suddenly open to keeping the tax credits. They acknowledge that many of their constituents could see steep hikes in coverage if the subsidies are allowed to lapse. Advertisement. Still, the two sides are far apart. Republicans are divided, with many firmly opposed. GOP leaders in the House and Senate have been open but non-committal on the extension, and many of those Republicans who say they support it argue that the tax credits should be reworked, potentially opening up a new health care debate that could take months to resolve. Democrats would be unlikely to agree to any changes in the subsidies, increasing the chances of a standoff and mounting uncertainty for health insurers, hospitals, state governments, and the people who receive them. In just a few weeks, unless Congress acts, millions of Americans will start getting letters in the mail telling them their health insurance costs are about to go through the roof, hundreds of dollars, thousands in some cases, Senate Democratic leader Chuck Schumer said this past week. Millions of Americans...
See, again, this is extremely important information. Like, we are in serious trouble. I don't think people understand how much, like... Even United Healthcare, a private insurance company, will try to increase their profit by getting subsidies from the federal government to, because, like, the idea, I mean, like, I don't know that any sane person thinks that healthcare should be gate-kept behind what class, what economic class you're in. I don't know of a sane person that thinks, you don't make enough money to be able to get basic fucking healthcare. You know, like you got an infection, you don't get antibiotics, you know, like even the most basic. And you get penalized for being in poverty within the healthcare system. Like if you don't have insurance and low income and stuff, you talk to the hospital like, help me. They are likely to tell you, oh, you should go to an urgent care clinic. It's cheaper than an ER visit. Well, under Obamacare, there was sort of this cap out amount where you if you went into the urgent care, it without insurance, I think it was only like maybe like $200. But once Trump got into office and undid that, they started putting out all these papers saying, oh, the amount that we charge, ooh, it's about to go up. And I think now, like, you could go to the urgent care and walk out paying anywhere between $3,000 to $5,000. And it's like, that's still cheaper than going to the ER, which you could go to the ER and walk out with a bill of like $20,000 to $30,000. But there's just no alternative for people who are of particular working class that and the employers are giving them shittier insurance. Like my husband, you know, he I don't know what he's paying for insurance. Like I keep getting confused on this and feel like I'm hearing different things. Like he's told me a few times, but it seems like I think it's something like I thought it was like it's a pretty large amount of money, like $200 to $400 every other week. And the thing is our health insurance doesn't cover shit, so we're paying this company $200 to $400. I don't remember what it is, every other week. And then if I go to the doctor, I have to pay, like, even if it's just a 15-20 minute visit where all we do is talk. When you're disabled, like you have a flare up or something, you have to go to the doctor and they can, like, I'll have like a muscle bulging out of my neck, which is like a contracture in my neck. A contracture is a muscle spasm that's just gone out of control. And she'll take pictures of it, she'll document it, she'll take range of motion measurements, or, you know, take my blood pressure, all that sort of stuff, and then put it in the computer and put it in my medical file. And what that does is that as I keep filing for disability, the SSA pulls that information and sees that, you know, this is a repeated thing. Like every time I go to the doctor, it's a muscle spasm in my neck, and my fingers are still numb. I don't have the range of motion. I still have all this nerve stuff. Basically my arm, my shit still doesn't work. My nerves are damaged. I've got missing muscle tissue. My arm doesn't fucking work. I am 75% paralyzed on the upper right hemisphere of my body. And that's what they're looking for, is that consistency. But just a 15-20 minute conversation with my doctor, I get charged like I don't have insurance at all. It costs me like $150, which is what they charge if you don't have insurance. So the insurance isn't covering any of it. None of it. So, like, you know, she wants to do physicals and stuff, which are supposed to be free, but the insurance doesn't cover that. And I can't even imagine what it would cost if we actually, because blood work, lab work has gone up in price too. It used to be without insurance, you know, I don't remember what it was. Was it maybe like $200 or something without insurance? But now it's like all the way up in the thousands. It's like these hospitals, they're owned by private companies. They want to see perpetual profit growth, and like they even start trying to advertise like unnecessary tests and procedures, because like the doctors themselves are starting to sound like used car salesmen. Like, you know, they could get their information that they need for a diagnosis the cheap way with, like a really simple test that's been around for a long time. But nowadays they're like, no, we want you to do a CAT scan, an X-ray, an MRI, and the test. And all you need is just the test, or just the MRI, or just the CT scan. You don't need all that stuff. And the thing is, the company that owns the hospital is telling the doctor, you need to push these things so we can make more money. And it makes them sound like used car salesmen. And that's how our health system is operating. And the erosion of all this stuff, people, it's not a joke. Like, it's not just going to impact people on Medicaid, Medicare. And you have to keep in mind that that's your elderly folks. That's your grandparents, your parents, like that's how they're still alive and able to access health care. Is, I forget which one is which, Medicaid, Medicare. One is for people who are on welfare or disability, and the other is for people who are retired. And the thing is it doesn't just affect those people like that's just going to be pulled. And I think about my husband's uncle Stevie. Like he's in a wheelchair. He got a viral infection in his spine when he was a little kid. This was not a genetic thing, that he was not born that way. He got a viral infection in his spine, and he has basically the mental capacity of a 9-year-old. He's stuck in a wheelchair. He cannot take care of himself. His mom is still taking care of him. She may not have much longer on this planet. And his brother, my father-in-law, God forbid, he's not taking care of him at all. And supposedly he moved up there to help, but he's not doing it. And Stevie's already been affected by this. He's not going to get a new wheelchair if his wheelchair breaks and he can't walk. What is he supposed to do? He can't work. Back when like right now, one of the things that has happened is the ADA, the Americans with Disabilities Act, has been stripped to pieces. Companies have been given the right to define what reasonable accommodation is themselves, which is something I've ran into myself. Like, I tried applying for a door greeter position. Like, I could, just have my arm here and like, hi, how you doing? Let me show you your table. Here's a menu. I could do that. But the thing is they have a job code attached to it, and they're like, no, if you open, you have to take down chairs and tables and set those up. And if you close, you have to put up chairs and tables. Well, I have a 10-pound maximum weight limit. Like, if you put a 15-pound dumbbell on the floor, I cannot pick it up. It feels like it's glued to the fucking floor. I can't pick it up. I cannot put up and take down chairs and tables made out of wood. I can't do that. Physically, not possible. It's not pain preventing me from doing it. Like, literally, nerve damage and atrophy. My max weight capacity is 10 pounds. I have lost strength because of missing muscle tissue and nerve damage. And they said, well, that's not a reasonable accommodation. So, I thought the ask was not to do those things. Well, the way that it was put to me is that I'm basically like hiring a negative person. I get that. But companies now, they can define themselves what is a reasonable or unreasonable accommodation. They define that. They do. So that's why there is no more, oh, you're disabled, we'll just have you be a Walmart door greeter or a cashier or something like that. That doesn't exist anymore. because the companies they're like, no, we want you multitasking, and we want like when you apply for it, it's this series of things or tasks as delegated. So like selling tickets out of a ticket booth, that job, like you nobody's going to hire you to just sell tickets out of a ticket booth. There's going to be a list of things that they want you to do along with doing that. It's all like, and part of that has to do with the increase in wages. In order for the company to improve their profit, like to grow profit with the amount that they're paying in wages, one thing that they do is they cut the workforce. And so that means you have less people, but the same amount of stuff to do. So the expectation is to multitask. We'll pay you more. We're hiring less people. But so that means you're going to be expected to do more work. So if you're disabled, you're fucked. They're not going to work with you. If you want to be mad about that, about the wages going up, because like in the state that I'm in, the federal minimum wage in the state that I am in have not increased the minimum wage. It is still $7.25. The thing is if you want to be mad at somebody, be mad at all these companies that own apartment complexes. Be mad at RealPage for allowing them to price fix. Be mad at the people who said that allowing them to price fix and not compete with each other and share with each other what they're charging for 1, 2, and 3 bedroom units to all charge the same amount across the board, regardless of the quality or the size or the amenities or the appliances and so on and so forth. They all charge the same amount. Be mad at that, because that's why if you said, hey, I'm opening up a company, do you want to come and work for me? Oh yeah, what's the pay? $7.25. That might be fine if you're like a 16-year-old living at home with your parents. But if you're an adult, no, that's not okay. You can't live off of that. There's no way you're going to have a home. There's no way you're going to be able to get food. I mean, you're going to have a job, but you won't really be able to do anything. You're talking about making like what would be considered federally impoverished. You'd be making less, somewhere around like $20,000 a year, maybe less. So no one will take those jobs. So be mad that apartment complexes, companies that run apartment complexes, are making like a profit margin of who knows, like I'm just shooting a number out there. It's nowhere near accurate, but let's say 71% profit instead of like 15% profit. Be mad at that, because that's where when 70% of your income is going just for a roof over your head. 70%. That's why these employers have to pay more money, is because the apartment complexes that are homes for rent, apartments, trailer home communities, they want more money. Private equity firms and then whatever you want to call RealPage, which is really just kind of a database that collects all the rent rates from across the United States and then averages them out and spits them out to all these different companies. And RealPage is contracted with, like, in some areas, 90% of the companies that have rental properties. Renting used to be what the alternative to buying a home. If you did not make enough money to buy a home, you rented. You rented an apartment. You rented a home. You rented a trailer. The lot that the trailer's on. You had to buy the trailer and then rent the lot. But that's not the case anymore. Like, I found out that my parents, my dad, he, they paid off their house, I believe, but his property tax. So for him to keep a roof over his head, all he pays in property tax is $1,800 a year. Okay, so basically one paycheck to keep a roof over his head for the entire year. And so that means, like, the rest of then you have, your utility bills, trash, water, electricity. And you have your internet, cable if you want it. You don't need cable, but these days you need fucking internet because everyone assumes you have it, and that's how you're gonna do it. Like anymore, if you want an apartment, you have to have internet because they email you the contract now. They have you e-sign. You need the internet to get an apartment. They don't do paperwork anymore. It's not a thing. You don't do paperwork anymore. So you need the internet. Applying for jobs, you need the internet. It's all internet. They don't do paperwork anymore. Even filing for like food stamps, HUD, disability, SSI, all that sort of stuff. Internet. Not paperwork, not an office building, internet. So you need internet. You need the internet. I see that as forced consumerism. The system went in a way where you have to buy the product whether you want it or not to function in society, even though it shouldn't be that way. That's forced consumerism. And then you got people saying we shouldn't have internet as a utility or have a government provided like publicly paid for socialized version of internet. So we are literally forced into consumerism, whether we want to or not. There is no, you know what, I don't believe in this, I'm not gonna put my money into it, I'm not gonna buy it, I'm not gonna do internet. If you don't do internet, you will be screwed. You have to have it. So it's like, well, that fucking sucks. And then the ISP companies that have localized monopolies, you can't escape it. Anyway, but that's why they have to pay people more money because housing has gone through the roof. But like it pisses me off that my dad owns a house and all he has to do is pay $1,800 a year. And then they tell me, oh, but owning a house is more expensive because if something goes wrong, you have to fix it yourself. But if you're only paying $1,800 a year, like basically 1 week's worth of pay for the whole year, if something goes wrong, when you're making like $55,000 a year, like you can pretty much put the vast majority of your money to the side, and you can easily finance something like fixing a roof or whatever, or a new water heater easily. And renting has become actually more expensive than owning a home, except, we can't walk into a bank and get a home loan because despite the fact that we're paying over $1,000 a month in rent, which is more than a mortgage payment that we would be looking at, the bank won't care because they want, a $33,000 deposit. And we can't put away the $33,000 for the deposit because 70% of the income is going just to keep the roof over our head. There is no extra money to put aside. It doesn't exist. So this is going to take away like This is what hospitals are like maternity wards are shutting down, hospitals are shutting down, urgent care clinics shutting down, pediatrics shutting down. A lot of it is shutting down because a lot of people don't understand how their insurance is financed through Medicaid, Medicare, and federal subsidies. And I don't know why insurance companies do that. I think that's corrupt. I don't think they should be doing that. So even if you have, and the thing is you're still going to be paying taxes towards Medicaid, Medicare, ACA type stuff. The federal government is still going to suck that out of your paycheck, but none of the programs will be there and cause all these facilities, like drug treatment facilities, mental health facilities, hospitals, various types of medical care facilities across the United States are going to shut down because they're not going to be received, because this is what the funds are allocated to. That they help pay for this stuff, like methadone clinics, treatment clinics, community clinics for people who are poor that need doctors' checkups and stuff that don't. All of it shut down, and then people with insurance who have insurance, your rates are going to go up because the insurance companies aren't getting the federal subsidies that they're used to, so they're just going to pass that on to the consumer. We're going to be fucked. We're going to be fucked. We basically, healthcare is going to become what dental care is today. Like, last time somebody told me that they went to the dentist, I laughed and I said, you can afford to go to the dentist? You must be rich. Because most people don't go to the dentist anymore. It's too expensive. And all they do is just clean your teeth anymore. It's just like, hey, Americans, welcome back to... You can't be making fun of British people's teeth anymore. Their teeth are looking better than ours. All of us, our teeth are all stained and crooked and all this because we can't afford the shit. We can't. And unfortunately, the direction that we're going with this healthcare stuff, healthcare is going to go in the same direction as dentistry. It's going to be one of those things like, I can't afford to go to the doctor and get antibiotics. Like, you can go to the doctor? You must be rich. Your insurance premiums are going to go up. It's hospital fees are going to go up. Treatment facility fees are going to go up. And you will still be paying taxes towards things that don't exist. Okay? This is dangerous. This is what they mean. Like, this is, a lot of people will die, and I know that senator lady was like, oh, everybody dies. No, you're missing the point. It's needless death. These are deaths that don't need to occur because we can prevent them with our modern medical technology. But this medical innovative stuff is being more and more gate kept, and basically it's going up to like basically the top 10%. If you're not in the top 10%, you don't get health care. That's basically what's going to happen. You're talking about 69% of the population, essentially. You're not going to have health care. Period. Best wishes, good luck. Hopefully you know how to make your own penicillin. Hopefully you know how to stitch a wound. Hopefully you have some first aid training. Grow your own fucking poppies. You're going to get old and you're going to have aches and pains and stuff and nerve pain. And NSAIDs aren't going to help you. And you're not going to have access to things like gabapentinoids and SSRIs, SNRI, antidepressants that they use, and tricyclics that they use to treat pain. You're not going to have access to pain management specialists. Like 6 months of pain management cost me more money than my decompression surgery. My decompression surgery cost me, like, I think a total of, like, what was it, like $14,000 or something. I think it was only $7,000. It's actually surprisingly cheap, and the insurance I had at the time covered it because I magically met the very, very high deductible, which they were probably pissed about. And because my artery was being compressed, this was not an elective surgery. There was no way you could interpret it as an elective surgery. If I didn't get that surgery, eventually I could get a blood clot and die. So I needed the surgery, and also to save my arm, because the longer the nerves went compressed, the less and less arm I would have left. But 6 months of... So the pain management specialist, $90 just for an appointment. $90 just to see the fucking asshole. $90 for sedation, which you want if you're going to get injections in your neck. In your fucking neck. And then $3,000 to $5,000 for a trigger point injection, nerve block, or whatever it is that he's going to do. And that's with insurance. That's how much it cost. So, yeah, you might as well start growing your own poppies, because the pain management specialist is also the one that prescribes the gabapentinoids, the SSRIs, SNRI, tricyclics, antipsychotics, antidepressants that they off-label prescribe to treat pain, ketamine infusions. All that is done by a pain management specialist and anesthesiologist, and you won't be able to afford it. So you might as well start growing your own poppies so you can manage your pain, because in the future you won't be able to. It's going to be your only option is to go out in your little garden and pick some poppies and make some opium tea to manage your own pain, because we're fucked. We are fucked. We're fucked. And personally, I think we should have socialized healthcare. I think we should all have the same health coverage, the same access to the same healthcare technologies, equally across the board, regardless of how much money you make, regardless of your creed, regardless of who you are. I think it should be a public service, like police, firefighters, roads, and all that. You know, not everything needs to be privatized. I don't know why you want to privatize something like healthcare. I don't understand that. I don't understand why anyone would say, I think only the top 10% in the of economic class, only the top 10% should have access to healthcare at all. I don't know why you would champion that. I don't know why you would not want. And I would think healthcare would be a productive use of our taxes. I do not think using our taxes to make ICE have a larger budget than most other countries' entire military. I don't think that is a productive use of our tax dollars. I don't think it's a productive use of our tax dollars to have military marching on our own streets, policing our own civilians. I don't think that's a productive use of our tax dollars. I think a productive use of our tax dollars is funding all these medical facilities across the United States and giving everyone access to them. That's a productive use of our tax dollars. I think a productive use of our tax dollars is making sure if people do go disabled because they're a war veteran and they've been damaged, or they've been damaged from work permanently and they've become disabled, that they're able to maintain their independency. I think that's a productive use of our tax dollars. That is the modern version of friends, family, and community taking care of their loved ones, of the friends, family, and community. You pay taxes and then they get a check so that they can, because they can't work, but it gives them money so that they can buy food, keep a roof over their head, and engage in, not massive consumerism like a rich person would, but just a little bit. Give them a little bit of joy. They could buy like a chocolate cake or something like that and enjoy it. Quality of life is important. Okay, quality of life is an important thing. But with this going on, none of us are going to have health care. You might as well just go out to start growing poppies, start growing marijuana. That can act as an SNRI, muscle relaxer, and an NSAID that doesn't damage your liver and kidneys and stomach. What else would be like good things to grow for medicinal use? Garlic's really good. That can lower your cholesterol. I don't know. There's all kinds of plants out there with medicinal properties. Start growing them because we're fucked. We're fucked. We're fucked. And I'm telling you, you're still gonna get taxes taken out because the people who are coming up with this going like, won't it be great, less government and stuff, and a lot of people are thinking, oh yeah, I won't get taxed for it, they won't be taking money. No, they're still going to take money because they're greedy people. Yeah, and then they're still going to take your money. They need to fund ICE. Needs more money than Israel's fucking military apparently. Or Canada's military. I mean, it's wild. And they're also going to refunnel your tax money instead of going into things like funding America's health. They're going to use it to fund police. They're going to use it to fund military. They're going. I mean, yeah. You're going to still have that tax taken out, even though the bureau no longer exists because those people up there really like money. They're greedy and they don't care. They're rich people, and so none of this affects them. They can pay a doctor $100 to examine the inside of their butthole.
Could face higher health insurance rates. Advertisement. Enrollment in ACA plans has surged to a record 24 million people, in large part due to the billions of dollars in subsidies that have lowered costs for many people. The expanded subsidies allowed some lower-income enrollees to access health plans with no premiums and capped the amount higher earners pay for premiums to 8.5% of their income. It also expanded eligibility for middle-class earners. With expiration now just a few months away, some of those people have already gotten notices that their premiums, the monthly fee paid for insurance coverage, are poised to spike next year. Insurers have sent out notices in nearly every state, with some proposing premium increases of as much as 50%. Lawmakers are facing pressure to act from some of the country's biggest industries, including the insurers that cover people on the marketplace and hospital executives who say they're already going to be squeezed by the Medicaid cuts in President Donald Trump's big, beautiful tax bill. There's broad awareness that there's a real spike in premiums coming right around the corner, both Republicans and Democrats.
Again, we cannot let people forget that when we get hit with this big, beautiful bill, we can't let people forget that was the Republicans. Okay? Like, that's not advocating for violence against Republicans. It's advocating that you guys need to get better Republican representation in the Republican Party of people who actually give a shit about their constituents. And for the meantime, vote Democrat because they still do selfish things, but they do a little, at least they do a little bit for the fucking people. They would not do this. But the Democrats did not pass the big, beautiful bill. None of them voted for it because we had a Republican House minority, or majority. I think one Democrat voted for it, and none of them voted. None of the Democrats did. All of them were like, no, this will be horrible for the people. So at least the Democrats, at least all but one, at least the Democrats actually care about their constituents to some point or level and degree, with a little bit of greed on the side. That's called neoliberalism. But the Republican Party, I hope you guys in that vote Republican, I really hope you guys pay attention and the upcoming people and stop going for this culture war stuff and start focusing on Republican candidates in your local elections, your local public offices, and nominations for like the federal offices, and start getting Republicans in office that care about their constituents and the well-being of their constituents. I really hope that happens, because these ones currently in office apparently don't. They voted in the big beautiful bill that's going to be enacted, and we already know the plan is just to blame the Democrats, even though only one Democrat voted for it. The rest, all the other Democrats, it was only like one or two that voted yes, but all the other Democrats said no, 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 no. This was a Republican move, and we're not going to let you forget that, because most of us see the play, most of us here on the left, we see what the goal is. We know what the strategy is of like why it's set to go into effect in the midterms. We know why that is. It's like, yeah, you're going to wait until people are so mad that they've flipped a bunch of seats over to Democrats, then big bill kicks in, and then you guys go, oh, look, the Democrats are ruining everything. The moment they get into office, everything goes to shit. No. It's that big, beautiful bill that goes into effect when they take their seats. That was brought in by the Republicans. We're not letting you spin that. No. Stick to the facts. Instead of trying to reinvent things, focus on getting people in the Republican Party that actually give a shit about their constituents, instead of making money from corrupt capitalism.
Merritt, Senior Vice President of External Affairs at Blue Cross Blue Shield. It's certainly lining up for Congress to have an opportunity to head off this problem. Advertisement. Companies have said they'll need to raise premiums without the subsidies because healthier and younger people are more likely to opt out of coverage when it gets more expensive, leaving insurers to cover older and sicker patients. In Iowa last month, the state's insurance commissioner weighed increases ranging from 3% to 37% against a stream of angry public comments. One woman who runs a garden center in Cedar Falls, Iowa, said she was considering dropping health insurance altogether. I am already living as frugally as I possibly can while working as hard as I possibly can, putting in as many hours as I am allowed to at my job, never missing a day of work, the woman, Luann, wrote in a public comment published to the commissioner's website. Tug-of-war over Obamacare spending plays out on the Hill. Advertisement. On Capitol Hill, the issue has become entangled in a larger fight over government funding as a shutdown looms at the end of the month. Schumer and House Democratic leader Hakeem Jeffries have said Democrats will not vote to keep the government open unless an extension of the health care tax credits is part of the deal. Republicans have said that they want more time to look at the subsidies and potentially scale them back. They will also have to wait for a signal from President Donald Trump, who has not yet weighed in. Jeffries said this past week that we will not support a partisan Republican spending bill that continues to rip away health care from the American people. Republican leaders are eyeing a potential stopgap bill that would keep the government open for a few weeks and are unlikely, for now, to include the extension. But GOP leaders in both the House and Senate are also under pressure from some members who worry that premium increases will be a political liability before the midterm elections. Senate Majority Leader John Thune, RS.D., has said he wants to see a proposal from Democrats on how to extend the subsidies since they are pushing the issue. Maybe there is something we can do in the middle as a solution, he said in a Punchbowl News interview on Thursday, adding that his members are divided on the issue.
You shouldn't have even touched it.
Thune has ruled out quick action, even as he noted that premium notices will go out soon. He has said a short-term spending measure to fund the government for several weeks while Congress finishes its budget bills is not likely to include an extension of the benefits. House Speaker Mike Johnson, R-Law, has said that many of his members would oppose an extension, but has not ruled it out. In recent days, 15 House Republicans in competitive political districts introduced legislation to extend the tax credits for 1 year. While the enhanced premium tax credit created during the pandemic was meant to be temporary, we should not let it expire without a plan in place, said Representative Jen Kiggans, RVA, who led the effort with Representative Tom Suozzi, DN.Y. Middle-class and small business owners, like the ones who Kiggans' coastal Virginia district, will be especially vulnerable to big health insurance hikes if the subsidies are not extended. Advertisement. Several Senate Republicans also said they'd favor an extension. Missouri Senator Josh Hawley said that if Congress doesn't act, some premiums will skyrocket, and not by a little bit. We're looking at massive increases. People will not be able to afford it. Texas Senator John Cornyn said he thinks Congress should scale back the subsidies for the highest income people who receive them. I think we all know that access to health care is important and we take it very seriously, he said.
Start growing
Senate
your own
Finance Committee
medicine.
Chairman Mike Crapo, R. Idaho, who has jurisdiction over the tax credits, said he's
We're
working with his
fucked.
colleagues to figure out if there is a solution. There are a lot of ideas being thrown out there, Crapo said. I'm trying to find a solution. I'm not telling you what the solution is. Others were firmly against it. It's costing us billions of dollars, said Senator Ron Johnson, RWIS. Advertisement. Open enrollment begins November 1st and people will begin to see real sticker shock as ACA plan prices are posted next month, said Senator Tammy Baldwin, DWIS. Timing is important, Baldwin said. ____. Associated Press writers Lisa Mascaro in Washington.
Okay, there we go. So let me know in the comments section of the video if you want me to do the reading or if you like the I don't know, maybe I'll just make an executive decision and just sometimes read it myself and sometimes let that thing do it. Okay, so what is this one about? This is because Charlie Kirk is still dominating the discourse. So this is a Charlie Kirk one, Time Magazine. Suspect in Charlie Kirk killing left messages, but no motive.
Suspect in Charlie Kirk killing left messages, but no motive. Tyler Robinson, the suspect in the killing of conservative influencer Charlie Kirk, was deliberate in the messages he left behind after he allegedly fired the fatal shot at Utah Valley University earlier this week, according to investigators. The 22-year-old carefully inscribed bullet casings with references to obscure online subcultures and left them at the scene, they said. When piecing together what else they knew about Robinson to make sense of his alleged crime, investigators said he had recently expressed his open dislike of Kirk, that he spent lots of time online, and that he had an affinity for guns. But days after the shooting, authorities have yet to discover a coherent motive for the killing of Kirk, the founder of Turning Point USA and a popular figure on the American right, and experts on extremism are similarly baffled by the possible motivations. Advertisement. Read more, The Killing of Charlie Kirk and the Political Violence Haunting America. Robinson's alleged decision to leave messages to be interpreted in his wake is common for perpetrators of political violence. What makes this case unique, however, is how obscure the messages were. They contain references to memes and in-jokes that could only be understood by a niche community of online gamers. Those messages, and the scant information about his past that has emerged so far, have given both sides of the political spectrum enough room to claim him for the other side. Messages on bullet casings. In the aftermath of the killing, Utah Governor Spencer Cox said that investigators found inscriptions engraved on the bullet casings found with the gun found at the scene of the crime, and on a spent casing from the bullet that was fired. All of the inscriptions referenced obscure memes and language common to online gamer culture.
See, this is a massive problem, and I'm glad that they pointed that out, that the stuff that's on them, the bullets, like, as far as this kid goes, is that online, both the left and the right, like the left is saying, no, he's a conservative, the right is saying, no, he's a Democrat. Because this is like Gen Z stuff. Like, I really want to know what these things are to. Like I said, to my understanding, this is basically Gen Z lingo for as basically homophobic slur. Yeah. It may not be a left or right thing. It may just be this guy was really weird and crazy. But they even mentioned here at the top that he expressed open dislike for Kirk. He spent a lot of time online and had an affinity for guns. And that's my understanding, is that he was saying he didn't like Charlie Kirk because he thought Charlie Kirk wasn't far right enough. And see, you know, like the left, I think has been handling it pretty well. Like, I mean, you pretty much every leftist I've seen, I've seen the leftists that have been poking the snake and going like, ha ha ha, you know, and being very provocative and and I don't want to, like, you know, like they're laughing at his death and stuff like that, and basically saying that it was a good thing. I've seen them, but they're like few and far between. The majority of leftists that I've seen have pretty much said the same things as me. That's the vast majority. The vast majority. But see, on the right, they're doing this kind of stuff. Every time Democrats don't get their way, they get dangerous. This meme is dangerous. This stokes the flames of division and hatred, and it doesn't directly, but it indirectly incites violence. And it's also exceedingly inaccurate. First of all, like, yes, back when John Wilkes Booth was alive, the Democrats, the Dixiecrats, the thing is, if John Wilkes Booth was alive today, he would not be on he would not be a Democrat. He would be Republican, along with David Duke. This has more to... You have to understand the difference, but, like, get rid of the word Democrat, get rid of the word Republican, and try to understand things through a lens of left and right. Right is supposed to be pro-hierarchy. Left is supposed to be, let's build a society based on egalitarianism. Right is supposed to be, let's build a society based on old ways, hierarchy. And there's varying levels on both sides. John Wilkes Booth was on the right. He was a conservative right-winger, pro-old ways, hierarchy. I believe the South even wanted to reinstate monarchy. He would have been a Republican today. If he was alive today, he would have been a Republican. John Wilkes Booth wanted to keep the hierarchical system of slavery. You know, he was mad about that. He wanted to keep the slaves. The position of being against slavery is an egalitarian position. Today, the Democrats tend to take up the left side in that they're pro-egalitarian. They're for the new ways. Democracy, power to the people, egalitarianism. And the Republican Party tends to be the conservative party, meaning like the old ways, like more hierarchy. You have bosses and stuff like that. So this is exceedingly inaccurate. Like, it's messy. Like, but it's painting all Democrats, all leftists out to be exceedingly violent. And the thing is, if we lived in a healthy society, we wouldn't be doing that. You know, we wouldn't be like, oh, this one person from this one town did something bad, so we have to burn the whole town down because everyone from that town must feel the same way. And the fact of the matter is, the rest of the town probably had no idea that that one person even did anything. Or was even planning to do it. You know? Like, what the fuck? Like, we need to be holding an individuals accountable for their individual actions. And you may not like that these leftists who are going, ha ha ha, Charlie Kirk died. You may not like it. But that's freedom of speech. You don't have to agree with it. You can find it insulting, and I do find it insulting. You know, it is insulting. I understand that. But trying to frame all leftists, essentially, is what they're trying, and leftists, John Wilkes Booth is not a fucking leftist, okay? Like, I want to put a black box over this, and no, just get rid of this picture. Like, no. Abraham Lincoln would have been a moderate leftist, and John Wilkes Booth definitely like a right winger. Okay, like just forget the words Democrat. Like I don't know if this person who posted this understands the political compass, and how it came to be from the French Revolution, but it has not always been the case that the Democrats represent the left and the Republicans represent the conservative right. It has not always been the case. It used to be the other way around. It used to be the Republican Party was the leftist party, and the Democrats, or Dixiecrats, were anti-egalitarian. You know, they were pro-hierarchy. We want slavery. We want, you know, like, I think some of them were even, like I said, I think some of them were even pro-monarchy. This is dangerous, though. This can get people, innocent people that had nothing to do with Charlie Kirk, didn't even post anything about it on social media, shot. Innocent people are going to get killed from this level of inflammatory, like, soft push for violence. If you're going to say that you want peace and advocate for peace and advocate against violence, you can't be posting stuff like this. You can't condemn the shooter, the guy that shot Charlie Kirk, and then turn around and post this and say, but it's okay to kill every single person who doesn't have my political ideology. Because then you're just as bad. You're just as guilty. You are a hypocrite at this point. This isn't a direct advocacy for violence, but it stokes anger and division, and that leads to violence. And I found this too. I don't know if this is a bot, like a Russian bot that's trying to stoke and drive division and violence. Anyone got this whose address? I'm sorry, you wish I was dead. And has a YouTube thing. Leftists are not allowed to interact with me. Hope this helps. We want war. We want war. Who will be the first? Hashtag kill your local journalist. This is not pro-peace. This is trying to push us towards less peace and more towards violence. I want to see leftists shot in broad daylight and Republican juries refusing to indict for it. How pathetic is it that even with the House, Senate, White House, and SCOTUS, online RW Anons are still the only people actually trying to make the left face consequences? The left face consequences for what? What has the left done collectively as a whole that's criminal? What? Okay, if you want to hold the person who shot Charlie Kirk accountable, absolutely 100%. But that's the thing. This is the problem. The political position of a person who gets assassinated and the political position of the person who assassinated them should not matter. In a healthy society, it should just be seen. Period, full stop, end of story. It is illegal to kill another person unless it's in self-defense. Period, full stop, end of story. It doesn't matter what their political ideology is. It doesn't matter if they think they're speaking on behalf of an entire political ideology. You can't. You cannot do that. You cannot speak for everyone. No one can do that for any group. No one. And the sad part is we have terrible leadership, and the leadership that we have in this country is not going to do that. He's absolutely going to be like, no, it's the left. Instead of coming out and saying, hey, conservatives, I know you're really, really, really mad. We apprehended the person who did it. Okay? Yes, the people who are posting that they think it's funny, it's wrong and it's disgusting. They have free speech. They shouldn't be doing it. But that's part of living in a free society, is that you have free speech. As long as they're not inciting to violence. But you guys need to stop directing your anger at everybody and understand that the person who did it is in custody and they're going to face consequences for the actions that they did. These people that you're getting mad at, they did not do it. Okay? They did not have the gun. They did not pull the trigger. They had nothing to do with it in any way, shape, or form. The only person that had anything to do with it, the only person that is responsible, is the person that we have in custody that is facing consequences. And the leadership that we have right now is just not going to do that. He's not going to. Trump is not going to do that. I hope they all starve. Talking about somebody just evicted a single mother of 4 and got her fired. It says, I hope they all starve. Somebody's picture of a cat and then says, it'll outlive you. This is an anti-trans thing. This person is trans. It'll outlive you. It's very fucking mean.
Advertisement. Even the engravings with ostensibly political meanings may not be so clear-cut. On one of the bullets were the words, "Hey fascist. Catch. Up arrow symbol, right arrow symbol, and 3 down arrow symbols," Cox said. "I think that speaks for itself," Cox said. Those words, though, are likely a reference to a sequence of moves on a controller that unleashes a powerful bomb, an accompanying phrase in a third-person shooter video game called Helldivers 2.
Yep.
The phrase has morphed into a meme that is commonly used on message boards to signal an end to a conversation. Read more, Gabby Giffords, I mourn for Charlie Kirk's family. Advertisement. Another message, inscribed on a separate bullet, notices bulges oh well what's this, is often used as an insult in online role-playing communities. Another read, if you read this, you are gay LMAO, humor that is also common to online male-dominated communities. More in U.S. Bill Maher on stopping political violence after Charlie Kirk shooting death. Let's not debate about who's worse because plainly both sides do it now. Variety. 1.4K. Trump says the man who fatally stabbed Ukrainian refugee Irina Zareska on a Charlotte, NC, train should get the death penalty. His family says the system failed him. Yahoo News. 7.6K. Trump shelves Chicago crackdown plans for now as advisors warn of legal headaches. CNN. 658. Google Fiber Gigabit Internet. Google Fiber. Ad. While they gave no clear indication of a political affiliation, all of the messages revealed that Robinson was a person who spent a lot of time online. They would have been indecipherable to anyone who was not immersed in the same circles. Professor Joan Donovan, assistant professor of journalism at Boston University and an expert in extremism who has written a book about meme culture, said Robinson appeared to have relied heavily on memes to express his own personality. There is nothing expressively conclusive about his participation in specific online groups as of now. His social media and posting histories are not available. But these memes tend to be posted on more politically incorrect anonymous message boards and gamer chat apps, she told Time. Advertisement. The ambiguity is the point, she added. What memes say about people can be complicated, but they can illustrate what someone finds to be funny or signal their affiliation with certain online subcultures, Professor Donovan said. In the set of engravings, he referenced some more ambiguous symbols and a clearly homophobic joke. The ambiguity is a crucial element of memes because not everyone is in on the reference or knows its origins, she added. Another inscription featured the words to the Italian anti-fascist anthem Bella Ciao. But the song has since been used in the popular Netflix show Money Heist, and in the first-person shooter game Far Cry 6. Advertisement. Activists and lawmakers have pored over these messages in search of meaning and motive. The anti-fascist connotations of Bella Ciao led some to believe Robinson may have been a leftist, but members of Robinson's family have said the entire family is MAGA supporters, and the link to the gaming community suggests it may not be that simple. Charlie Kirk hands out hats before speaking at Utah Valley University in Orem, Utah, Wednesday, September 10, 2025. Tess Crowley, the Deseret News/AP. Some have attempted to draw a link between Robinson and the far-right Groyper movement, a decentralized...
I'm pretty sure it's a far-right thing. Like, I told you, as far as I understood, and I don't know Gen Z's, slangs, but it's my understanding, those were a bunch of homophobic slurs that they said to, that he inscribed on the bullets. And that's not left.
Group of white nationalists who follow Nick Fuentes and coalesce online around obscure and extremist meme culture. The movement had been at odds with Kirk's brand of conservatism for some time. Some noted that a Halloween costume worn by Robinson closely resembled a Groyer mascot, and that the Bella Ciao song appeared on a recent public Groyper playlist. But experts on the group have downplayed the evidence released so far. Fuentes, the unofficial figurehead of the Groypers, has publicly condemned the shooting of Kirk, writing on X that "My followers and I are currently being framed for Kirk's killing based on literally zero evidence." More political.
Well, you're doing that to
Robinson's
the Democrats,
offers
too.
No real answers, either. He grew up in a conservative Utah community and became a member of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints at a young age, according to a church
extremely
spokesperson, although it's
conservative
unclear
church.
if he still attended services. Advertisement. He appeared to be a gifted student. A video posted to a family member's social media account shows him reading his acceptance letter to Utah State University on a prestigious academic scholarship. But he only attended for one semester, according to the Utah Board of Higher Education. At the time of the shooting, he was a third-year engineering apprentice at Dixie Technical College. According to the Washington County Clerk, although Robinson's parents are registered Republicans, he is not affiliated with either party and has not voted in the last two elections. Robinson did have an affinity for guns. Social media posts from his family show years of him shooting and posing with various weapons at gun ranges and shows alongside his siblings. According to Utah Governor Cox, Robinson had reportedly become more political in recent years. Cox referenced a specific conversation with a family member in which Robinson spoke about Kirk's visit to Utah Valley University. Advertisement. The family member referenced a recent incident in which Robinson came to dinner prior to September 10th, and in the conversation with another family member, Robinson mentioned Charlie Kirk was coming to UVU. They talked about why they didn't like him and the viewpoints that he had, Cox said. He added that Robinson had said Kirk was full of hate and spreading hate. In an interview with the Wall Street Journal on Saturday, Cox indicated that further investigation was leading authorities to believe that Robinson held ideologically opposing views to Kirk. It's very clear to us and to the investigators that this was a person who was deeply indoctrinated with leftist ideology, Cox said in the interview, without providing any further details.
Oh, great.
The crowd reacts after Charlie Kirk, the CEO and co-founder of the conservative youth organization Turning Point USA, is shot at the Utah Valley University Wednesday, September 10, 2025, in Orem, Utah. Tess Crowley, the Deseret News via AP. That would stand in contrast with Robinson's family. They have yet to make a formal statement to the media, but authorities said it was Tyler's father, Matt Robinson, who convinced him to turn himself in. Advertisement. Tyler's grandmother, Debbie Robinson, 69, told the Daily Mail on Friday that the 48-year-old father is a Trump supporter. "My son, his dad, is a Republican for Trump," she told the outlet. "Most of my family members are Republican. I don't know any single one who's a Democrat. I'm just so confused," Debbie said of her grandson's arrest. "Tyler is the shyest person," she said. "He has never, ever spoke politics to me at all." A crackdown on the left. What investigators conclude about Robinson's motivations may have far-reaching consequences beyond his own criminal case. In the aftermath of the killing, many Republicans and conservative commentators called for a sweeping crackdown on left-wing groups, assuming that the perpetrator would likely be someone from the opposite side of the political spectrum as Kirk.
And you don't know it.
If proven to be true, those calls will likely grow louder.
Yep.
President Donald Trump and his officials have promised grave consequences for the radical left, which he claimed was directly responsible for the terrorism that we are seeing in our country today. Read more. This is War. Trump and others on right call for crackdown on left after Charlie Kirk's murder.
Extremely divisive.
My administration will find each and every one of those who contributed to this atrocity and to other political violence, including the organizations
No one else
that funded
contributed
and
to it. It
as
was
well as
one
those who go
dude.
after our judges,
And you have
law
him in
enforcement
custody.
officials, and everyone else who brings order to our country, he said. White House Deputy Chief of Staff Stephen Miller said on Friday that the Trump administration planned to launch a crackdown on radical left organizations that he also blamed for Kirk's killing.
What is a
Under
radical
President
left
Trump's leadership,
organization?
I don't care how. It could be a RICO charge, a conspiracy charge, insurrection, but we are going to do what it takes to dismantle the organizations and the entities that are fomenting riots, that are doxing, that are trying to inspire terrorism, that are committing acts of violence. It has to stop, Miller said. My message is, to all of the domestic terrorists in this country spreading this evil hate, you want us to live in fear? We will not live in fear, but you will live in exile, because the power of law...
See, and this person needs to read this article, because a lot of right-wingers do. They need to, and again, the most important thing is that this shouldn't have anything to do with political affiliation, and that's what they did exactly as I said. The problem, instead of holding an individual accountable for their individual actions, like Timothy McVeigh, we didn't go around and start arresting every single right-wing Republican voter because Timothy McVeigh blew up the Oklahoma City buildings. No, we didn't do that. We arrested Timothy McVeigh and held Timothy McVeigh for what Timothy McVeigh did. And that's how it should be. But Trump, his leadership is terrible. And so, what leftist organizations? What terrorism? What are you talking about? It's so vague that it could be interpreted in so many ways that it could go all the way to even include organizations like the Lincoln Project, which is a pro-democracy Republican group. They're not leftists. They just don't want this authoritarianist stuff that we're seeing. And they still don't they hold everyone responsible, but there's only one person responsible. Yeah, this is a mess. It's a big mess. Okay, move on to the next one. Fortune. Fed desperately wants to avoid a recession because it doesn't want to get blamed and put its independence at risk, top economist says. The Federal Reserve may have more at stake than economic growth as policymakers prepare to meet on rates this coming week. In an interview with CNBC on Thursday, Moody's Analytics chief economist Mark Zondi said recent job numbers have been so dismal that it's possible the U.S. may already be in a recession. I'm telling you, we're heading towards not just a recession. We're heading towards massive depression, economic collapse. I'm telling you, that's what you should be concerned about. You shouldn't be concerned about a leftist sitting in their living room eating potato chips, going "Man, I wish gay people had rights," because some weirdo in Utah, murdered somebody in cold blood and has been apprehended and is going to face accountability and absolutely should. You shouldn't be doing this, going "Oh, let's have a war for no fucking reason." You should be worried about an economic collapse that is about to hit us. Literally, it's going to affect everybody. I think the Federal Reserve desperately wants to avoid that kind of outcome, he added. Obviously, nobody wants a recession, but also in the context of Fed independence, they really don't want to get blamed for going into a downturn because that would impair their ability. This goes back to that Lisa Cook bank article that I was reading. Orton Finance professor Jeremy Siegel laid out just such a scenario in July when he told CNBC that Fed Chairman Jerome Powell may need to resign in order to preserve the central bank's long-term independence. His reasoning, if the economy stumbles with Powell still at the helm, then Trump can point to him as the perfect scapegoat and ask Congress to give the White House more power over the Fed. Talk about limited government. So we're expanding the federal government so it'll take over the Federal Reserve Bank. How wonderful. Fuck. That is a threat. Don't forget, our Federal Reserves is not at all a part of our Constitution. It's a creature of the U.S. Congress, created by the Federal Reserve Act 1913. All its powers devolve from Congress, Siegel explained. Congress has amended the Federal Reserve Act many times. It could do it again. It could give powers. It could take away powers. Meanwhile, Stephen Moran is set to join the Fed without resigning as chair of the White House's Council of Economic Advisors after previously calling for changes that would erode its independence before he joined the Trump administration. In a note last month, J.P. Morgan said Moran's appointment to the Fed fuels an existential threat as the administration looks likely to take aim at the Federal Reserve Act to permanently alter U.S. monetary and regulatory authority. Oh, that you should pay close attention to. Oh, look at all these things about. Yeah, keep in mind with the Tesla, like this is not correct. Okay, like some of these, like, yeah, Trump has said, like, I only want to hear good news, so they just lie. So you can't trust it because Trump's like, no, I don't like that. I don't like that. These numbers are terrible. They're not good. I'm the greatest thing in the world. So they're like, oh, okay. They're plus like 30%, even though they're like down by like 120. Shit. In a note last month, J.P. Morgan said Moran's appointment to the Fed fuels the existential threat as the administration looks likely to take aim at the Federal Reserve Act to permanently alter U.S. monetary. Okay, I did read that. Despite the enormous pressure Trump has put on the Fed to lower rates, even trying to fire Governor Lisa Cook. I told you it had to do with that. Central bankers have largely resisted his calls so far, but the sudden deterioration in the job market has made a rate cut a virtual certainty. The Fed meets Tuesday and Wednesday, and the only question on Wall Street is whether rates will come down by 25 basis points or 50 basis points from the current level of 4.25% to 4.5%. We are fucked. A note on Friday, J.P. Morgan chief U.S. economist Michael Feroli said he expects 2 or 3 dissents for a larger cut and no dissents in favor of keeping rates unchanged. At the Fed's last meeting, Fed Governor Christopher Waller and Michelle Bowman dissented from the policymakers by calling for a quarter-point cut. It's possible they could dissent again by voting for a half-point cut. Feroli said, with Moran expected to dutifully dissent for a larger cut as well. On Tuesday, Azandi said the bar is high for a half-point cut, but there is a possibility we could get over that. He added that a JP Morgan forecast for 6 cuts by the end of 2026 is reasonable, assuming a neutral level for the Fed funds rate is about 3%. It's possible, if the economy is weaker and recession risk higher and concerns about Fed independence greater, that we get something a little lower than that 2.5% to 3%, Zondi said. Basically, we economically we're fucked, and Trump wants to play around with the Federal Reserve Bank, possibly even take it over and turn it into a bureau of the federal government, and it would lose its independency. And when Thomas Jefferson was talking about not having centralized banking, he wasn't talking about having the federal government control it either. That's this is crazy. We're so fucked. Economically, we're fucked. Okay, let's hear what she has to say. This is in NBC News. Trump says he wants national healing while blaming the radical left as a barrier. I have to say.
If you thought that my husband's mission was powerful before, you have no idea. You have no idea what you just have unleashed across this entire country.
This morning, Erica Kirk, the widow of slain conservative activist Charlie Kirk, speaking out for the first time since losing her husband and father of their 2 children.
Charlie always said that when he was gone, he wanted to be remembered for his courage and for his faith. Now and for all eternity, he will stand at his Savior's side, wearing the glorious crown of a martyr.
Her remarks following a stunning development on Friday.
Ladies and gentlemen, we got him.
After a manhunt that lasted 33 hours, police
By the way, in my personal opinion, this kid is really fucking ugly. Sorry.
announced they caught the suspect who assassinated Kirk. 22-year-old Tyler Robinson arrested on suspicion of aggravated murder and other charges. Authorities say his family turned him in.
A family member of
Fucking buffering. You motherfucker, come on. I hate it when they do this shit. What is this?
a family member of
Okay. Washington President Trump said he hopes the nation will heal following the assassination of conservative activist Charlie Kirk, though he suggested in an exclusive interview Saturday with NBC News that a radical left contingent in the country stands as a barrier reconciliation. Yeah, Trump is such a terrible leader. This is going to get a lot of people killed if they don't stop. I'd like to see it in the nation. I'd like to see it in the nation heal, the president said in a brief telephone interview. But we are dealing with a radical left group of lunatics, and they don't play fair, and they never did. Like, what is he even referring to? Can we have an example? Like, I'd love to see an example of what the fuck he's even talking about. I don't know what he's fucking talking about. The suspect arrested in Kirk's murder is 22-year-old Tyler Robinson of Utah. He is alleged to have shot the conservative activist during a speaking event Wednesday at Utah Valley University. Public records show that Robinson's last voter registration date was July 13, 2021 with no political... See, you're more concerned about his political party and affiliation than his motive. Don't you think that's a problem? That doesn't matter what he voted. He shot and killed someone. He's a criminal. Officials said Robinson had only recently shown interest in politics. A relative recalled him. And this is all stuff that we've read in the other article. This is nothing new. So I'm going to go on to this. So this is interesting. By Good Morning America, about Rubio lands in Israel ahead of Netanyahu meeting on Hamas war Gaza City operation.
New details this morning surrounding Israel's stunning surprise attack on Hamas leaders in Qatar, a strong American ally. Video circulating online shows the moment of the strike. People fleeing for cover. Locals report hearing multiple explosions, as many as 15 Israeli jets involved.
It's a busy residential neighborhood. There are embassies here, an international school, a major shopping mall. This strike has sent shockwaves throughout the Middle East.
The strike causing international outcry. Qatar condemning the attack.
The first call we had from an American official was at 3:56, which is 10 minutes after the attack.
Calling it state terrorism and accusing Israel of sabotaging ceasefire talks. Israel says it was entirely justified, though Hamas called it a failure, claiming that none of its leaders were killed. Instead, they say it only killed security guards and the son of a Hamas leader, as well as a member of the Qatari security forces. The White House says it learned about the mission shortly before it began, though not early enough to warn the Qataris. President Trump says he's not happy and that the strike failed to advance Israeli or American goals.
I'm not thrilled about the whole situation. It's not a good situation. But I will say this, we want the hostages back, but we are not thrilled about the way that went down today.
Now, some of the families of the hostages have also spoken out against this strike, worried that it now further endangers their loved ones in Gaza. And now the IDF is on the march to Gaza City, planning to occupy it. Feels like a peace deal is as far away as ever.
Yeah, so are we all on the same page yet that what Israel is doing is just inappropriate and it needs to stop? Here's this again. This is a thing that happened Friday, September 12th, and the online discourse is dominated by the radical left is violent, obscene, and crazy, and they don't play fair, and they're violent. The way that they are framing it, they couldn't make us the left and Democrats seem more violent, and the thing is they're not. The amount of far left crimes, like the majority of far left crimes, has to do more with property damage than hurting human beings. That's just the way that it's been. So Associated Press. Denver school shooting suspected posted online about mass shooting and neo-Nazi views, report says. Denver AP. A teenager suspected in a shooting attack at a suburban Denver high school that left two students in critical condition appeared fascinated with previous mass shootings, including Columbine, and expressed neo-Nazi views online, according to experts. Since December, Desmond Hawley, 16, had been active on an online forum where users watch videos of killings and violence mixed with content on white supremacism and anti-Semitism, the Anti-Defamation League Center of Extremism said in the report. Hawley shot himself following the Wednesday shooting at Evergreen High School in Jefferson County. He died of his injuries. It is still unclear how he selected his victims. The county was also the scene of the 1999 Columbine High School massacre that killed 14 people. Hawley's TikTok accounts contain white supremacist symbols, the ADL said, and the name of his most recent account included a reference to popular white supremacist slogan. The account was unavailable Friday. TikTok said accounts associated with Hawley had been banned. Hawley's family could not be reached. The Associated Press left a message at a telephone number associated with the house that police searched after the shooting. A spokesperson for the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office, Mark Techmeyer, declined to comment on the ADL's findings, discuss its investigation into the shooting. The office previously said Hawley was radicalized by an unspecified extremist network, but released no details. 2 recent suspects in school shootings were active on the so-called Gore forum. If you are on a forum that is called Gore, you are in the wrong place, and you are probably on somebody's watch list. That Hawley used called Watch People Die. Cool. According to the ADL, Hawley appears to have opened his account in the month in between shootings in Madison, Wisconsin, and Nashville, Tennessee, the ADL said. A few days before Wednesday's shooting, Hawley posted a TikTok video posing in a similar way to how the Wisconsin shooter posed before killing 2 people during in December. Killing 2 people daring in September. I don't think that's worded properly. He included a photo of the Wisconsin shooter in a post in which Hawley wore... Who wrote this article? They did. They need to work on their grammar, sentence structure. Who wore a black t-shirt with wrath written on the front. He also posted videos showing how he made the shirt He also posted videos showing how he made the shirt that were like the one worn by a gunman in the Columbine shooting, the ADL said. There is a through line between those attacks, said Oren Sigel, the ADL Senior Vice President of Counter-Extremism and Intelligence. They are telling us there is a through line because they are referencing each other. Watch People Die administrator said in an email that Hawley lied about his age in order to access the site and was not a very active user of it. With only 7 comments, the email said the site is admittedly pro-Israel and does not silence opposing viewpoints. It referred to Hawley and the shooters in Wisconsin and Tennessee as unhinged losers. Hawley was also active on TikTok, a true crime community where it says users have a fascination with mass murders and serial killers. Some TikTok posts shared by the ADL show one user encouraging Hawley to be a quote-unquote hero, a term it says white supremacists use to refer to successfully ideologically motivated attackers. The person also told Hawley to get a patch with a Nazi-era symbol that was worn by the men who carried out the 2019 attack on the mosque in Christchurch, New Zealand. Oh, that's dark. And the 2022 attack on the supermarket in Buffalo, New York. See, this is what I'm talking about. You want to talk about where a lot of crime, mass crimes, terrorists, domestic terrorism is coming from? It's not the left. It's this shit. It's the far right. And you got a lot of people being radicalized on the internet, just like it went through, like the fucking gore.com, how to kill people, watch people, what the fuck? Yeah. Hawley posted a photo of two patches that he had, but said the Velcro on the back had fallen off. I may use stronger glue when I fix it, he said. Yeah, that's really interesting to know that he wants to use stronger glue. Here's more about Charlie Kirk. I'm telling you, this is going to dominate the fucking discourse for so long. Telegraph. But see, like, going through this stuff, like, oh, our economy's fucked. Oh, look, he wants to play with our bank. And our health insurance is we're fucked. Start growing your own medications. But no, we need like 125 articles about Charlie Kirk. 5 isn't enough. We need 125 of them. By the Telegraph, Charlie Kirk's alleged killer joked about shooting while on the run, messages reveal. Charlie Kirk, I have a feeling this is not going to tell us anything new. Charlie Kirk's suspected killer joked online that his doppelganger had murdered the conservative commentator. Mr. Kirk was killed by a single rifle shot from, we know about that. He was a co-founding of, we know about that. We know about that. We know about this too. The next day, an online acquaintance of Mr. Robinson tagged the Utah-born 22-year-old's username on Discord, suggesting he looked like the man being hunted. In a post on the messaging platform, Mr. Robinson's friend attached the FBI images and wrote WYA, where are you at? With a skull emoji. Within a minute, Mr. Robinson responded that his doppelganger was trying to get him in trouble, according to the New York Times, which was sent to exchange by a high school acquaintance of Mr. Tyler's. Tyler killed Charlie, another user wrote, apparently in jest. Mr. Robinson's messages on Discord appeared next to his avatar, which was from a Garfield comic and depicted the confused face of Garfield's owner, John Arbuckle. The exchange took place on Thursday afternoon around 1 p.m. local time. It was not until later that night, nearly 34 hours after the shooting, that Mr. Robinson was arrested on suspicion of assassinating Mr. Kirk, 31, whose killing has inflamed the political world. Let's put it mildly. Mr. Robinson was arrested after someone close to his family recognized the FBI images along with the suspect's father, convinced him to turn himself in. So this is like talking about like Tyler Robinson talking to people in a Discord server. This is wild. The suspect is expected to be formally charged by local prosecutors on Tuesday after he had joked that the gunman looked like his double. Another Discord user reportedly suggested that the group could turn Mr. Robinson in and get the $10,000 FBI reward for his capture. Why does it include a euro symbol? That's weird. Mr. Robinson replied, Tyler Robinson said, only if I get a cut. Another user posted, whatever you do, don't go to a McDonald's anytime soon. This, we know this is an audit to Luigi Mangione. We know about that. Mr. Robinson agreed and offered a supposed joke of his own, writing, better also get rid of this manifesto and exact copy rifle I have laying around. Like, what Discord is this exactly? What is the name of the Discord? What is the topic about? Okay, and then it shows this back and forth on Discord between the person there keeping anonymous and Tyler Robinson. when another user suggested that killing Mr. Kirk would lead Donald Trump to send U.S. National Guard to Utah, the suspect replied, "In a red state? Nah, clearly the shooter was from California." Gen Z is fucked if this is how they talk. This seems like they don't take any of it seriously from any perspective. Like, this is just psychotic. This is like schizo posting. Around the time, several news outlets reported that ammunition found near a rifle is seen, including engravings referring to transgender ideology. It does not refer to transgender ideology. In fact, the actual engravings included the phrase "a fascist catch," as well as lyrics from an anti-fascist Italian folk song, a reference to a sexual meaning about a bulge. I'm telling you, what he wrote on those bullets was basically just homophobic slurs. He was basically calling Charlie Kirk a bundle of sticks F word that I can't use on YouTube, even though I'm gay and I should be able to say it and reclaim it for myself. But anyway, I heard the ammo had something sick about trans stuff on it, but they aren't releasing photos, exact quotes he wrote, he added. And also the claim wasn't backed by the official FBI, just some dude in a briefing room. A few minutes later, he joked, "I'm actually Charlie Kirk. Wanted to get out of politics, so I faked my death. Now I can live out my dream life in Kansas." I feel like Kansas City is becoming more popular. We've mostly been this like forgotten city nobody pays attention to, and people are being drawn more attention to like Kansas City, like Kansas, Missouri area. It's weird. We are a big major city, so I mean, like, we're like the 31st, 32nd largest city in the United States, so I don't know why we don't get attention. We should. No, don't pay attention to us, actually, now that I think about it. Don't pay, we don't exist. We're a small town, shut up. But I mean, this is how Gen Z talks. Is like, oh, like you're in Discord. You just did this. They've got pictures of you, and you're talking to somebody on Discord. And you're like, no, I'm actually Charlie Kirk. I wanted to get out of politics, so I faked my death, bruh. Gen Z is fucked. You guys are fucked. I mean, you wanted an uneducated population. I think you got it. The messages shed no light on any motive for the shooting, which has become the subject of fierce political debate. Reading this stuff, I don't know that it had anything to do with politics. It just... I don't even think they know why they did it. A police officer wrote in an affidavit that Mr. Robinson had recently discussed Mr. Kirk's upcoming event in Utah with a family member, and that the two had talked about why they didn't like him. Police say the suspected gunman walked... See, motive. Okay, they talked about why they didn't like him. What did they say? Motive. Forget trying to find his political affiliation. What did he say? What was his motive? Why didn't he like him? This is motive. Jesus Christ. Oh. Police say the suspected gunman on campus at the event when the current exchanges gunman. Police believe Mr. Robertson had implied or confessed that he committed the crime, and that he was then encouraged by a family member. We know about that. Following his arrest, members of the group chat on Discord, of whom there were reportedly around 20, expressed shock at Mr. Robinson's arrest. Our governor wants to give him the death penalty, dude, one wrote. See, again, Gen Z... This is how Gen Z talks. You want an uneducated population. This is what you get. Like, Another said, I truly cannot distinguish if this is for real. Like, really? Like, you got your pictures, like, Mr. Robinson's picture, Tyler Robinson's pictures are fucking everywhere. There's a manhunt for him. And you're like, dude, you're gonna do the death penalty? Bruh. I can't tell if this is real, dude. Bruh. Like, oh my god. Gen Z needs education. Send them back to school, please. Spencer Cox, the governor of Utah, called Mr. Kirk's murder a watershed in American history and compared it to the rash of U.S. political assassinations in the 1960s. Mr. Trump, the U.S. president, called it a heinous assassination. Any assassination is heinous. Mr. Kirk's movement, meanwhile, announced on Saturday that a memorial event would be held on September 21st at State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona. Okay. That's great. Okay, I know that was a lot longer than yesterday's. But we had a lot more shit to cover today. I just kind of pick out articles that stand out at me, so I can't tell you what won't, but we really need to stop fanning the flames of hate. We need to get back to a functional society and stop worrying about what Tyler Robinson's political affiliation is and start trying to figure out what his motivation is and reading and I've heard Gen Z talk like that too, and like honestly, like if you've had a conversation with a Gen Z people like that, like that's how they talk, and you may never figure out what his motive is, and he may not even know. Like I swear to you, not all of them, but a lot of them that I've met are dumb as shit. They're very stupid. Like you're really shocked. The guy on Discord, his friend on Discord, is shocked. See, why is Trump wanting to go after the entire left and Democrats instead of going after these 20 people on Discord that are like, dude, like, I can't believe this is real, bruh. Like, oh, they want the death penalty? Like, oh, man, yeah, bro. Like, that's how they fucking talk. And then the stuff that he wrote on the bullets, I'm telling you, I seriously think that's just Gen Z garbled bullshit of their slangs, their language of their generation, of basically calling Charlie Kirk a homophobic slur. And they may not even be homophobic. They may not even give a shit. Like, go talk to Gen Z people. Like, I'm serious. They're that dense. It's worse than trying to talk to a version of like Bill and Ted. I'm not kidding. Anyway, hold an individual accountable for their individual actions. Stop trying to say that it's everyone on the left had something to do with this, and that's not the case. And I know there's a lot of leftists that have said some nasty things that a lot of conservatives don't like. Hold those people accountable for what they say. Realize we have free speech, and realize you guys have done the same thing to us when radical right-wing extremists like this is just so unbelievable. And I wish sanity and rationality would be restored in society, and not just on both for all of us. All of us. His political ideology should not fucking matter. And why is Donald Trump talking about unleashing a fucking army across the entire United States to attack anyone who is a leftist or a Democrat when you've got a Discord server full of 20 fucking stupid kids joking after he did it, when there's pictures of him all over the place and a manhunt about what he did? They didn't profess any political philosophy. These Gen Z kids were just in the Discord talking about how they just didn't like him and gave no fucking reason. And if you talk to a Gen Zer, go get on a fucking PlayStation, get on a video game, befriend a Gen Z person, get into a chat party with them, and have a casual conversation with them. I promise you, that's how they fucking talk. And they don't know anything about anything. You could be like, oh man, like, there's condensation. They'll be like, condensation, what's that? I don't know what that is. And then you try to explain it to them, they'll be like, man, that's crazy. I don't believe that. Man, just stuff. Like, seriously, go have a fucking conversation with one. I'm not saying they're all like that. I'm saying I've met plenty that are. So, you have 20 people in a fucking Discord server that were talking to him after the event, pictures when the manhunt was going on, knowing that it was him, and they're not pulling those people in, saying, why didn't you turn him in? Instead, they want to stoke the flames of division and hate and blame the entirety of the left and the Democrats, and it doesn't even look like this may not even be politically motivated. For fuck's sake. Anyway, yeah. Like, share, comment, and stuff. Let me know in the comments if you want me to read the article out loud or have the automated voice read it. I kind of like having the automated voice because I'm an auditory learner. Let me know what you want, though. Like let me know in the comments. Maybe I'll do it. Maybe I won't. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, like, share, subscribe, comment, all that stuff. Blah 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 blah. Before I'm out, I'm gonna leave an outro with the song that I created because, you know, I fucking created it, and I'm proud of my creation and I like it. If you don't, that's you know, fair. That's fair. You can not like it if you don't want to. What was it? It was. Shit, I don't remember. I think it's this one. Yeah, there we go. So, play this, and after it's done, I'm closing it out. All right. Peace.